I think it's going to be close, like 16-15. Bills kick a late field goal and win it. 16-15, sure. Let's go with that. Guys, let me know how you're feeling.
Nailed it, right? Like, just about nailed it. Come on, I've been doing this for this is my 10th season of doing this. I don't think I've ever been that close. So I don't really know. Maybe it's stupid that I'm still making them. But you guys seem to love them. Titans fans seem to love them. Got to give a big shout out to the Titans fans that came on my video last week. Came into the comments, watched it, thumbs downed it because they didn't like what I said about their team, and left in the most amount of comments I've ever received, I believe, on one video. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm grateful. I genuinely appreciate you guys watching the video and listening to what I had to say because you pointed out certain things that I did say. So I'm being totally sincere when I say thank you. But if you're coming back for more, most of you didn't come back for more last week because I replied to every single one of them this past Sunday after the Bills beat the Titans. You guys just, again, I didn't mean to offend your team. I knew you'd be mad. But you're just taking it out of context, like when I call your team lucky and like how they're not winning sustainably. Now granted, how the Bills won on Sunday against the Titans is not really sustainable. It classifies a little bit as lucky because Nick Williams is dropping a pass and they're recovering fumbles, which is really kind of lucky because the ball could bounce anyway, could bounce any direction, could go out of bounds. One of them did. The Bills forced one, and I believe it was Taywan Taylor just shoved it out of bounds. Like, that's kind of lucky. You're taking luck in the wrong, like I said, in the wrong context. You're thinking of it, and I don't really know how you're thinking of it, but like, one guy in particular was like, lucky? Oh, you're going to get a nice real dose of reality on Sunday. Like, the Titans aren't lucky. Like, they should be 4-1 or something. Or maybe even undefeated, he said. If it wasn't for, a 10-hour game and, like, a couple officials' calls. And I'm like, that's luck! Or misfortune, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, officials' calls are luck. Because you have no control over it. Like I said, the Nick Williams drop on Sunday. Maybe the Bills don't end up winning that game because it didn't look like they were a super big threat passing the football. Didn't look like they were going to come down the field and just... They hadn't done it all day. They hadn't really looked like a threat to score a touchdown since the first drive. But all I'm saying is, like, that's luck. Things that are out of your control. Like, the Titans had it the previous week against the Eagles. The fourth down play where they threw an incomplete pass and the game should have been over. But they got a defensive pass interference call. That's luck. It didn't have to get thrown. You were fortunate for it to be thrown, whether it was correct or not. That's all I'm trying to say by calling your team lucky. So, some of you replied to me. Some of you couldn't really face the music. But salute to all of you for watching the video. If you came back and ate crow. I would have ate crow if the Bills lost. Although I don't think the Titans would have been proving much by beating the Bills. But I would have came back for it. Again, thank you. Really, thank you. I didn't mean to offend your team. I'm sorry that you might have bought into your team being better than they actually are. Bottom line. That's just the bottom line. I'm not necessarily buying into the Bills being better than they are. The way the Bills won on Sunday, really, like I said, not sustainable. That is probably their model for winning games. But with 223 yards of offense and 82 yards passing from Josh Allen, like, they're not going to win a lot of games that way. They only allowed 221 yards and 121 yards passing themselves. They were super good on defense, and that is probably their model. Let's be sound on defense and scratch and claw enough on offense to stay in games, and maybe we could steal a couple here at the end. The main thing is to see growth from Josh Allen, which I really didn't see too much of on Sunday, but he has a fourth quarter comeback to his name now. That said, the Bills are still dead last in total points, or second to last in yards, dead last in passing yards, dead last in passing touchdowns. And this is, like, the league, since the merger, I believe, it was 1970, through 5 weeks, the league has the highest completion percentage at 65%. Josh Allen's is under 54%. They have the most passing touchdowns in 5 weeks, 275. The Bills have 2. They have the highest touchdown-interception ratio, which is almost 2.0. The Bills is under 1. The highest pass attempts, per game, per team per game, and the Bills are dead last, or 30th in pass attempts. So, I mean, they're behind the 8 ball considerably here, while the league is moving ahead. But they are very good on defense. They've been so good on defense lately. Over the last 14 quarters, that's 3.5 games, they've allowed just 43 points, just 3 touchdowns, and one of them was totally meaningless. It was the Vikings scoring a garbage time touchdown. They have the last time any receiver, scored in a Bills game was week 2. Was Kelvin Benjamin and Mike Williams for the other team. That's the last time the Bills allowed a passing touchdown to a receiver. That's the last time the Bills threw a passing touchdown to a receiver. It's been all Josh Allen running, Jason Kroom, Jimmy Graham, and Kyle Rudolph for Minnesota. So, I mean, the Bills here they are still playing, like, maybe sort of looking like they don't really belong in I don't want to say belong in the league, but like it's night and day. It's just there's just such a stark difference between what other teams are doing throwing the football and what the Bills are doing, and a lot of that is related to the quarterback, of course. I don't want to say that's why the Bills brought in Derek Anderson. I think the Bills brought in Derek Anderson to mentor Josh Allen, to be his Josh McCown to Sam Darnold type of thing, that type of deal. Because Derek Anderson can help out in the meeting rooms, watching film, can point out things that Nathan Peterman really can't do. And Nathan Peterman, to his credit, is a terrific guy, really. Like, I genuinely like him, but it's more likely than not that he's started for the last time in the NFL, and maybe taking the field for the last time. That remains to be seen. That could happen. But John Clayton said that, the idea for behind the Bills signing Derek Anderson is to, get him up to speed in like a week or two and then name him the starter. And I'm just like, are you insane? Are you washed? What is going on? Maybe he knows something that we don't, but like, now that Allen is in, Allen doesn't come out, right? Like, that can't be a thing. Like, you can't just go putting him in, pulling him out, because that's what you did to E.J. Manuel. Granted, different people were at the helm, but like, and look what happened to him. It was the same thing. You did it with Kyle Orton, and then Tyrod Taylor comes in, and I mean, E.J. Manuel takes a back seat. I don't want that to happen to Josh Allen, considering the prices they paid to get him and how high they drafted him. Ideally, he is the quarterback until he is too old to play football. Ideally. Anyway, the Bills have a chance to get to 500. That's, here they are, they're 2-3. They have a chance to get to 500 this week against the Texans, who have won 2 in a row themselves, both in overtime, against Dallas and Indy, and they were a little lucky to get by in those games. Granted, they might have lost some games based on luck before that. They have played all their games, have been within 1 score. New England, Tennessee, the Giants, the Colts, and the Cowboys, all 7 points or less. The difference with the Texans is that they are putting up over 425 yards regularly. Over the past 4 games they've done it. They've put up over, I believe, 350 passing yards in the past 3 games. Deshaun Watson, who, Vegas pulled the line at sportsbooks earlier this week because there were some rumors maybe going around Reddit that Deshaun Watson had like a punctured lung. And it looks like their line is back up, so it's not going to be an issue. It looks like Deshaun Watson will play. But he was taking a lot of hits against Dallas, and so, I mean, that could be something for the Bills to at least look at. Obviously, you don't want to go full Greg Williams on him and intend to hurt him, but if he is a little bit banged up, you could slow down their offense. Maybe they're 4th overall in the league in yards, just 18th in points, but 4th in yards, 7th passing, 10th rushing. And granted, that rushing number is a little bit inflated because Deshaun Watson's been running for 40 yards a game. So, and we saw that with the Bills when they had Tyrod Taylor. The numbers are inflated because of the quarterback rushing, but I mean, those are still yards. Those are still first downs. But Lamar Miller's averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Hasn't been healthy. Alfred Blue less than 4 yards a carry. Scored their only rushing touchdown of the season by running back. Deshaun Watson had one, but Alfred Blue had their only one by running back. It was their first touchdown of the year in Week 1 against New England. They haven't scored a rushing touchdown by running back since. Conversely, they've only allowed one rushing touchdown all season. They've allowed 13 touchdowns, 12 passing, 1 rushing. Saquon Barkley, the only rushing touchdown against the Texans all year. But like I said, 12 passing touchdowns. That's probably largely because they've had like Kevin Johnson and Kayvon Webster and Andre Hall get well, please. All these injuries to cornerbacks. I apologize if I missed one. They have Tyrann Mathieu, and they have Kareem Jackson and Justin Reed, and Jonathan Joseph's been the mainstay at the one cornerback position, but the other one is totally up for grabs. So hopefully the Bills can force some sort of mismatch there, because this is something Josh Allen could maybe take advantage of. A matchup they can attack. Like, yes, please. Like, Kelvin Benjamin has 8 catches for 103 yards. And I'm not going to put it entirely on him, even though he has left some, things to be desired so far this season. I would like to see him 8 for 103 in a game, not over 5. I'm sure he'd call it disappointing himself. But, and maybe he'll draw Jonathan Joseph, who is the better corner, but, like, find a matchup and exploit it. Maybe they can. They just came off a game against the Titans where the Bills, where they ran for their most yards in the season, 144, and they only allowed 1 sack. So that's different. So maybe that's sort of trending. The offensive line and protection is trending in the right direction, and we'll need it because J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney on the other side, Whitney Merciless, they got some ballers over there. Like, those guys can play. They can get after the quarterback. Watt has 6 sacks, Clowney 2.5. They have a bunch of hits on the quarterback, so Josh Allen needs to be ready for that. Dable needs to have a good game plan, keep LeSean McCoy involved. I was happy to see that. I don't want to trade LeSean McCoy. I know that came up in the news and was sort of, I guess, quelled by McDermott this week. I guess the reason, I know there's Bills fans that are like, wow, the Bills are really, and I tweeted this, the Bills are really doing nothing to help their rookie quarterback. They didn't address the line. They're not addressing the receiver. So you want to trade the running back? You want to trade the only thing that opposing defenses truly respect on the Bills' offense? Their best player, really? You want to get rid of that in the sake of acquiring a draft pick for next year? Well, it's all about next year anyway. But, like, you don't want to get Josh Allen killed. Like, if they don't respect any part of your offense, if defenses don't respect your offense at all, which they're probably not getting much as it is, but you're going to take away the only respectable threat in the name of Chris Ivory and Marcus Murphy? Count me out. And like, I would just rather not do that. Like, you keep him. I know his contract is up at the end of the 2019 season, but he's a team captain. He has really embraced Josh Allen, and I don't want to lose him. I really don't. I think that, can you imagine, can it get worse? And maybe that's your argument. Can it get any worse? Like, maybe. I don't know, they're already last. Like, how much points do you want to score? They're already struggling to score points. The defense is standing on their heads. The defense, like I said, they're just, I apologize if I brought this up earlier, they allowed 43 points in their last 14 quarters. Like, they've allowed 1 second-half touchdown in the last 4 games, right? 1. The Packers didn't get one, the Titans didn't get one, the Vikings got a garbage time one, and the Chargers didn't get one. So I have to believe that there's something to be said about second-half adjustments, maybe, for the Bills, because of how good how improved that defense has been. I'm very encouraged by it. The spread that I alluded to earlier that was pulled briefly for the Watson injury, I believe, started off at about 8 points and made its way to close to 10, which is kind of surprising given that the Texans haven't played a game by 2 scores yet all season. They should have lost the Giants by 2 scores, but they scored with 1 second left. So for them to be predicted to win by 2 scores seems like kind of a lot, but I'm going to predict the Texans to win just because they rack up yards, and if the Bills don't necessarily keep it close in the first half, I don't see them being able to come back, even though Josh Allen has a 4th quarter come back to his name now. So I'm going to pick the Texans 24-16. I'm going to go with that. Hopefully we can get to 500, but if we go to 2-4 and then we're going to Indy, I'm going to Indy next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Really all I can really ask for, I guess. Anyway, guys, Hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is the same as my YouTube username. Enjoy your weekend. And as always, above all else, go Bills.